Good morning, my friends, and welcome to this special time together as I remove my mask. What a special morning this is, and I'm going to tell you why. This is for Tri-City Religious Science Center, our birthday Sunday. Every year at this time, around July 20th, which is my birthday, my first service was July the 20th, 1975, here in Fremont, California, with my wonderful Dr. Carol Neal, my wife and co-pastor. We started our first service on my birthday, and for 45 years we have celebrated with a wonderful celebration at Lake Elizabeth here in Fremont, with all the congregation bringing food and just a celebration of our time together and our time in this wonderful community. For 45 years now, I have stood in my pulpit Sundays and Wednesdays. I'm not sure, but I may have spent more time in the same pulpit than any other minister in New Thought in one place. I think the wonderful president of the INTA, Larry Schwartz, has spent about the same length of time. In the 45-year experience I've been thinking about it this week because of, first of all, it goes by in a hurry, and the fact that here we are at birthday time again. I'm celebrating my 80th birthday on the 20th of July, and I want to spend a very special thank you to the Reverend Dr. Sidney up in Oregon. It was my honor and delight to place the doctoratehood on her when she received her wonderful doctorate. She was with Reverend Helen Street as her music director, and her wonderful teaching over the years has been a blessing to the entire New Thought movement. I love you, Sydney, and I thank you for your wonderful gift for for my birthday. And nobody has to know what it is, but it will be displayed prominently for the world to appreciate. And you know what I'm talking about. Love you guys, and I appreciate all of the birthday gifts and communication I have received. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In putting and thinking about this, our lesson this morning, and thinking about my past 45 years, it's very interesting. What I thought I knew and understood 45 years ago was kindergarten. Because Dr. Holmes was right, the more you know, there's more to know. And the right direction is into the power of simplicity, not confusion or rigmarole or dogma, creed, ceremony, but being what we teach. And when you do this, you walk tall in the metaphysical experience. Why? Because all of the great experience that's happening in the metaphysical field right now is beautiful. I have a recommendation for all of you, and that's Mitch Horowitz. Go on Google and look Mitch Horowitz up and listen to some powerful, powerful teaching. He is wonderful and one of the clearest teachers around. In fact, he's probably right now reaching more people than the entire New Thought movement put together. Now, let's look at the idea of metaphysically walking tall. And I think that's what happens when you wake up to the truth of yourself. You know, it was Ouspensky who said we go through two stages of sleep: horizontal sleep and vertical sleep. Vertical sleep, walking around with our eyes open until somebody says you're asleep, and you wake up and say, no, I'm not, and then go back to sleep again. And by that is going to sleep to what's in front of you now, because this is what the New Thought teaching is all about. It is a now teaching. And when you get yourself out of the past and out of confusion and out of doubt and out of fear because of intelligence applied, you find yourself celebrating the essence of the entire New Thought teaching and the entire teaching of unity, divine science, religious science, the entire teaching of CSL and any other metaphysical group that is on the right track, because they are focused on the truth of self and how to apply to life from truth, not how to get to truth from life. You see, this science is not interested in opinion. It's not interested in alibis. It's not interested in mental nincompoopry. It is interested, though. It's interested in minds receptive to the truth. Now, are you receptive to the truth, or do you still have a God in mind to blame your life on? Must be God's will. Well, I have my congregation for years affirm God doesn't know what's going to happen to me, I make up my mind. Well, God doesn't know what's going to happen to you, you make up your mind. Jesus presented this principle 2,000 years ago when he pointed out, it is done unto you. How? As you believe, not if you believe, as you believe. It is interested in minds receptive to the truth, as I said before. It deals with now thinking. And going through this virus lockup, this is a good chance to really do some wonderful self-evaluation, self-exploration, self-discovery. I've been going through some wonderful books that I haven't given myself the joy of for a long, long time, and most of them are rewriting themselves. You see, there's always something new, and the wonderful thing about metaphysical writers is no matter when it is or where it is, you can read metaphysical writing from 100 years ago and it reads like it was written this morning. Why? Because the true metaphysical movement, the truth teaching coming from International New Thought Alliance and everything affiliated with it, from Agent, from all of the New Thought brothers and sisters, is the same. It is high, clear, and healthy and happy, and explains that there is pure consciousness. It is God consciousness, and it's within us, and all we have to do is go within to discover it, because if you're looking for it outside of you, you're looking in the wrong place. I discovered a long time ago that people who can't find miracles within themselves and the power within themselves and the infinite intelligence within themselves will look for it somewhere else. Find it in yourself. We were advised a long time ago, search here, search there. The kingdom is within you. Not outside of you, it's within you. It was born with you when you were born. It was God as a new form unfolding into a new life experience. And then you were on the path to discover this, which you probably did, and I probably did when we were infants, and then we forgot about it because the world talked us into thinking like it instead of thinking from the mystical awareness of truth. Again, God is what? It is pure consciousness. Now, this explains why our students, and I was thinking the other day, I have trained over 100 ministers over the past 45 years. Many, many practitioners. They have trained people. Fenwick Holmes told me when I was in my late 20s and was studying with Dr. Ernest Holmes' brother, he said, Jay, if you touch one life, that life will touch 100 lives, which will touch another 100, which will touch another 100. We have a truth that's ready to come forth as you. All you have to do is discover it, but don't stop discovering it. Again, God is pure consciousness explains why our students are selective in their thinking. And because they're selective in their thinking, they choose to demonstrate the basic principle that we teach in all of the New Thought churches and all of the New Thought teaching. And that is the basic principle of health, prosperity, love, and self-expression in a positive way. This also explains why so many people try religious science and unity and divine science, and for them it just doesn't do much good. They cannot think in terms of now, and that's the reason. They think in terms of yesterday. It was the great Religious Science International minister, Dr. Chet Castellaw. I love Chet so much. Dr. Castellaw was Bob Hope's head comedy writer for 35 years and found a healing when he found Dr. Robert Bitzer and started studying with him, became one of our greatest ministers, and built, when I entered the ministry in 1975, had the largest Religious Science International church in the world, and that was in San Diego, the San Diego Church of Religious Science. Dr. Castellaw had a basic idea to most of his teaching, and that was people will not change their life for a good reason to them, and that is they won't give up their stories. So as we celebrate our 45th anniversary and celebrate my birthday this time, give me a good birthday present and give up your story. Give up your story for Jay's birthday. No, don't do that. Give up your story for you. You'll stop having the effect of that story if you just give it up. Now, those who really practice the principle of this instruction walk tall, metaphysically. They walk tall in the mental realms of spirit. They walk tall in the mental realms of spiritual understanding. They are today thinkers. They don't sit around and wish it was something else. They look at what's in front of them and choose to master and be the best in the middle of it, and then take the best and move forward. You see, my friends, in this birthday moment, I've been thinking all week. Dr. Carol Neal and I moved from Southern California to Northern California. We had one thing, and we gave it treatment, and we both committed our lives to teaching this. When I was 28 years old, I was the young adult director at Founders Church of Religious Science with Dr. William Hornaday, Dr. Reginald Armour, Dr. Ela Clark. What a great time, and what a great bunch of people we had. At Asilomar that year, and it was my third Asilomar, Dr. Hornaday, Dr. William Hornaday, came up and gave me a copy of Sermon by the Sea. And in the copy Bill gave me, he wrote, "Jay, the world must hear this message, and you will help them do it." It changed my life. From that point on, I committed myself. 7 years later, I became a minister, and that was my first year as a religious science practitioner. I have been a practitioner of religious science since I was 28 years old. And now I'm about to turn 80. How'd that happen? But I found over the years why the great, the good, the wise knew what they knew. As Dr. Holmes says in Boy Celestial, it's not enough that the great, the good, and the wise knew what they knew. What I need to know is what I myself can know and be. And as you probably hear, my cat's trying to join in on the lesson this morning. And that's beautiful. He is a wonderful metaphysical cat. And we've been locked up together in my home for 90 days together, just the two of us, or over 90 days now, since March the 12th. But again, let's look at walking tall metaphysically. The healings I have observed, the change of mind, change of experience I have observed over the years is a gift every time I see it, every time I experience it, every time I celebrate it. You see, to walk tall in the ways of spiritual understanding, all you have to do is select what goes on in your consciousness. Choose you this day, the blessing or the curse. That's not two powers, that's two ways of using one power. You cannot dwell on the negative and have a good life. You cannot live in fear and have a good life. You cannot be pessimistic and have a good life. The good is available, but your negatives keep it from happening. And if you want to eliminate the negative and celebrate the positive, that's just a choice away. But when you make the choice to move from the negative to positive, then you need to learn how to live with it, and that's why we teach classes. In religious science, Dr. Ernest Holmes' desire was that we be religious science teaching centers that do Sunday services, not churches that have classes. So, what do we discover? We discover that spiritual thinking is effective thinking in a positive way. It is clear and it doesn't waver. It knows that good is real right here and right now. It overrides all of the conclusions of yesterday and gives you a new definition. And if you become one with that definition and you live from it, all of a sudden you find one life, one God, my life, in me, as me, is the infinite intelligence of God. Then you begin to work from this premise, and its premise is what? Is the ability to think in a spiritual way. Think from a spiritual basic idea of self. Spiritual thinking knows problems only long enough to solve them. It knows no opposition, and it fears no person, situation, or condition. So we find ourselves moving forward intelligently, dealing with everything and the ability to demonstrate someone to cut your hair. How about that? I haven't had a haircut since December. Now, again, those who think this way, act this way from truth. These are people who give their full attention to happy and creative living. They like themselves as they are. You see, to walk tall in the ways of spiritual understanding, all you have to do is select what goes on in your consciousness. Choose you this day, the blessing or the curse. That's not two powers, that's two ways of using one power. You cannot dwell on the negative and have a good life. You cannot live in fear and have a good life. You cannot be pessimistic and have a good life. The good is available, but your negatives keep it from happening. And if you want to eliminate the negative and celebrate the positive, that's just a choice away. But when you make the choice to move from the negative to positive, then you need to learn how to live with it, and that's why we teach classes. In religious science, Dr. Ernest Holmes' desire was that we be religious science teaching centers that do Sunday services, not churches that have classes. So, what do we discover? We discover that spiritual thinking is effective thinking in a positive way. It is clear and it doesn't waver. It knows that good is real right here and right now. It overrides all of the conclusions of yesterday and gives you a new definition. And if you become one with that definition and you live from it, all of a sudden you find one life, one God, my life, in me, as me, is the infinite intelligence of God. Then you begin to work from this premise, and its premise is what? Is the ability to think in a spiritual way. Think from a spiritual basic idea of self. Spiritual thinking knows problems only long enough to solve them. It knows no opposition, and it fears no person, situation, or condition. So we find ourselves moving forward intelligently, dealing with everything, and the ability to demonstrate someone to cut your hair. How about that? I haven't had a haircut since December. Now, again, those who think this way, act this way from truth. These are people who give their full attention to happy and creative living. They like themselves as they are. They don't wait till they become something else. You are what you think about all day long. Thank you, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Think about what you think about. Thank you, Dr. Ernest Holmes. You see, they have no desire to reform anyone. They give help. Yes, they do. They give help where it is needed, but they don't wallow in false sympathy. They accept themselves as the light of their own worlds, and they let that light shine for all who are of the truth to see it and celebrate it. For years I've been using the illustration of there are two kind of people on the planet, people who light up the room when they, and there are people who light up the room when they leave. Choose you. Again, they accept themselves. People who know this teaching, whether it's unity, divine science, religious science, it doesn't matter. God doesn't care what church you go to. Doesn't care what religion you practice. If it's working for you, that's what you need to be doing. But we, as religious scientists and unity people, understand, as in divine science, that our consciousness creates our experience. If we don't like the experience, change consciousness. You see, people who know this accept themselves as, again, the light of their own world. And they choose to shine. Now, my birthday message to you is this. I want to thank all of my congregation over the years and tell each and every one of you how much I love all of you. How much I appreciated your love and support over the years. How many dear friends I have walked with. In the past 45 years. To my dear Dr. Carol Neal, who for 28 years was with me and moved through this. I remember the first 3 years of our ministry, we didn't miss a Sunday. Till finally one day the congregation gave us 2 tickets to Hawaii and said, get out of here and go somewhere and hide for 2 weeks. That was our first break in 3 years. It took that to start our work. We moved through all kinds of challenges over the years and met them because treatment works. And right now we are moving through the experience where the only contact I have with all of you is through this video and any phone call you'd like to make. Reverend Lacey Atkinson and Reverend Robert Aaron Kell, Reverend Sue Tenick, Reverend Rick Daniel, and Reverend Sharon Forshey Daniel. My wonderful practitioner, my wonderful vice president of my board, Finn, to all of the people who have loved, supported, and honored our commitment to teaching what Ernest Holmes set in motion. It's a very, very important experience. So my birthday wish and gift and affirmation for you is to understand that consciousness is the only determining factor in life. It alone creates, it alone destroys. You are that consciousness. And you have full control of its activity if you do what? Assume that control. If you don't know how, learn. If you don't know how, find this video series we're doing every Wednesday and Sunday. And again, I appreciate all the communication from all over the world that are watching this. I love each and every one of you, and I thank you for your support. Remember, this teaching in my ministry and the ministry of all New Thought ministers is to invite you to join the thousands of students all over the world who walk tall because they have chosen the pathway of controlled affirmative thinking. We are spirit having a human experience. I've been doing it now for 80 years in this life. And shortly before, my dear friend and mentor, Dr. Robert Bitzer, who started this wonderful creative experience we call religious science with Dr. Ernest Holmes in 1918. It was my great experience and honor and privilege to serve on the board with him. To work with him in developing my own ministry and having him there to guide and direct me. I honor him. Dr. Robert Bitzer, his last words to me were, "Never retire, Jay, never retire." Well, I don't plan on retiring. Feeling good and ready to teach more and more and more about the truth. Still have a lot to do, and I celebrate that I'm doing it with you. Thank you for your blessing, for your love, for all your happy birthdays, and happy birthday to our wonderful Tri-City Religious Science Center. 45 years. It is a blessing to me and everyone who enters our doors, which are locked right now because of the virus, but will be open, I know, soon. I love you. I thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this birthday Sunday. Namaste. And now, my friends, this is the time to, first of all, say thank you to Katrina Anderson for editing this together in the right way. I want to thank you for your love and your support and for the donations that are coming in. We appreciate it more than you know. Without the congregation here on Sundays and Wednesdays and our classes, we have a challenge because we have an ongoing expense to take care of, and what we need to do and do it in the right way is honor you and thank you for your love and support. It doesn't matter what you send, just send it with love, and we'll accept it with love and celebrate you for it. We know our blessing and our love offering is blessed because behind the giver is God. And we celebrate the gift. And we celebrate you for giving. And now, my friends, let's go within and close this morning celebrating our beautiful potential. As we begin our 46th year as a religious science teaching center, let's all affirm together as I affirm it in first person this spiritual mind treatment. As I say these words in first person, let them be your words in first person in your heart and mind, and know they're good enough to be true as you. As I know there is one life, that life is God, that life is my life. I am the presence of infinite love as me in action. Today I let go and practice the wisdom and knowledge of the recognition of God in myself and in every person, place, and thing. In myself and in every person, place, and thing in my world. All that is wise and loving moves from me to meet itself in my now. I know there is an answer to what the world is confronted with in this moment. That answer is discovered, applied, and we move forward, free from the fear of the virus, understanding its principle and how to move forward without it. All that is beautiful and true and good returns to me as my perfect endowment of the moment. No thing is withheld that would provide or fulfill the joyous celebration of my life. I give thanks for the last 45 years of my ministry and all the lives I have had the honor to touch and all the lives that have touched me. All my dear, beautiful, supportive friends that have come my way. Many, many who have gone on to the next life, I give thanks. For my time with Dr. Carol. And her commitment to our teaching and to me. I am one with my true heritage of good. Knowing that my highest desire and purpose is to express the beautiful. Is to express the beautiful. I do so now. I let this knowing be the wisdom of my way. My acceptance of this reality of truth in my physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual experience is my binding factor with greatness. With steadfastness and courage, I now let the healing power in me as me transform anything in my world into positive wholeness, unmarred by impatience, undelayed by doubt. Today I fulfill my beautiful potential as never before. Celebrate my past 45 years. I celebrate my opportunity to serve. And to be there over the years for all who have needed what I have wanted to teach and what I have been teaching. And I give thanks for all the people who've let me know how much they have appreciated my teaching in their life. And my teaching is Ernest Holmes' teaching, and Ernest Holmes' teaching is the teaching of the ages expressed in today's language. I fulfill my beautiful potential as never before in the consciousness of God's positive right action as me, all the way. I move from God through God to God. In everything I do, say, and think. And I give thanks that this is so as I release this treatment to the great law, mind that knows what to do, how to do it, acts upon it, and delivers it as my event, as my body, as my world, as my life. And so it is, was and shall be forever, in the now of forever. So it is. My friends, before we go, I am on the board of International New Thought Alliance, the INTA. Reverend Larry Schwartz, Reverend Dr. Tim Stewart, all of the wonderful people on the board of the INTA have been working diligently for months now. When we found out that we could not have a live all-together conference, we have put together a virtual conference with some of the greatest metaphysical minds in the world. Wonderful lectures, wonderful workshops. This will begin Wednesday morning. I would like to invite all of you to be part of it. If you go to the INTA on Google, you will arrive at the website of the International New Thought Alliance, and if you click on conference, you will discover how to become part of it. I love you guys. Thank you for the birthday communications you've given me. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. The best is underway. It starts now. And it's good enough to be true. Let it be your way. Namaste.